You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville. Join us as we explore the episode Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes for the meanings, morals, messages, and to see if it aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. My name Jess. I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi.
And my name is Mike Richards. Mission Log the Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. Share your thoughts, ideas, and tell us what we missed at ML_the Orville on Twitter, Mission Log Pod on Facebook. You can email us at missionlog-theorville at roddenberry.com. And if you're watching this on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe. And remember, we may just use your comments on an upcoming episode. Now here's Jessica with the recap.
All right. Looks like things are easy breezy on the Orville. Ed is laid back. Gordon is pissed that they're getting tasked with yet another delivery to Epsilon 5, and Kelly is curious when she sees the way Ed looks at Lieutenant Janelle Tyler. Ed leaves his shift early to go and watch The King and I with Lieutenant Tyler. No wonder he's so laid back. Janelle suggests that they should take a much-deserved vacation together, which would also make their relationship public. Seems that's where it's heading, but the captain needs to sleep on it or her before he makes his decision.
Because they've been being so sneaky.
They've been so very sneaky.
So sneaky.
No one knows. Act 1. In the mess hall, Ed goes public with Gordon first, and he's glad to see that Ed has gotten back on his feet after the divorce. Ed tells Gordon that he's thinking about telling Kelly, and Gordon thinks it's time. Ed heads to Kelly's quarters to let her know, but when he tells her, she says she already knew, because she knows him so well. And when he mentions going on a vacation together, she gives her blessing and says that she can handle the supply run. As the newly minted couple heads off on a shuttle set to a tune by old Earth guy Billy Joel, they're interrupted by a krill convoy. Convoy. Both. Despite cloaking the shuttle and being initially passed over, the envoy returns, dispels gas that reveals their location, and opens fire. A mothership flies overhead, locks a tractor beam on the shuttle, and reels in their catch. Fishes. Accepting fishes.
Nice.
I know. That's the only one I could get. Act 2. Meanwhile, on the Orville, Gordon tells Kelly that he'd like to take the test to get him on the command track. And despite Kelly being skeptical, he sells her on the idea, saying he's ready for something more. The Krill demand Ed's command code so they can access Union deployment schedules. Ed says his command codes are useless because he's not a fleet admiral. They show Ed a video of Janelle being tortured until he gives up the codes. But hopefully they're the real ones, because if they're not, the Krill will kill Janelle. A familiar face visits Ed in the brig, Talea, the sole adult survivor of the Krill ship that Ed and Gordon fried in Season 1. Ed demands to see Janelle, but Talea informs him that she cannot deliver her, that she doesn't exist, because she was pretending to be her this entire time. Act 3. After escaping the Union, Talea joined the Krill army to protect her people from enemies such as Ed Mercer. The ship she was assigned to had planned to infiltrate and capture a Union officer. It was her idea to capture Ed. Just as Talea swears that she will get her revenge, the Krill ship is attacked. Ed is able to escape the brig and subdue the guards. He takes Talea hostage and has her lead him to the shuttle bay. The attacking ship boards the Krill vessel. Ed and Talea avoid them in hopes of finding an escape pod. They head towards the nearest habitable planet, even though the attackers will find it easy to go after them should they choose. A crash landing knocks Ed unconscious, and as he comes to, Talea holds him at gunpoint. She tells him that they need to seek higher ground to send a distress call. He asks who it was that attacked them. They are the Shaktal, a race on the border of Krill space. They're angry because the Krill destroyed one of their colonies because they have the divine right to expand into that sector, but the Shaktal don't see it that way. As she warns Ed that the Shaktal do not retreat or leave survivors, 2 shuttles enter the planet's atmosphere, most certainly looking for them. Act 4. Wow, the Krill just will not quit today. Now they're hailing the Orville, and Captain Gordon answers the call. Oh. He unsuccessfully deters the Krill attack and gets the ship blown up. Thankfully, it was a simulation. Kelly gives Gordon good advice to know when you've reached your limits and encourages Gordon to come back at the simulation tomorrow with the fresh start. Ed asks Talia, why doesn't she just kill him? And she explains that she's using him as a mule for the beacon and that when they get to high ground, he will die. Using these last moments of his life well, he asks Talia if she felt anything for him, to which she says no, that it was her mission to get close to him. He has a hard time accepting that all the time they spent together was fabricated, but Talia assures him he is an overly attentive fool who has no balance in life. As the argument heats up, they hear a noise in the distance. They are able to hide from the Choctaw for the time being, but they are getting a little too close for comfort. Act 5. A new day is dawning, and this spells danger for Talia, who will die if she is in sunlight. Ed convinces her to take shelter for now and resume their quest in the evening. She reluctantly agrees. They set off to find a cave. In the mess hall, Gordon tells a cutie that he's going to be a future captain, and she agrees to get drinks with him later. Kelly sees this and asks Gordon if he's just doing the command track to pick up chicks. And while that had crossed his mind, he confesses that he's just been feeling like he hasn't done enough with his life. He's afraid that means he isn't enough for other people. Kelly tells him that command does not include thinking about yourself, but if he's worried whether he's liked by others, he already has that in the bag. In the cave, Ed tries to find common ground with Talia, who will not budge on the subject. Ed explains that new space-traveling cultures react one of two ways. They accept the fact that they are one of many life forms in the universe, or they hit the xenophobia button harder. What's more, he tells Talia that he thinks she has more of Janelle Tyler in her than she's willing to admit, and that if she is in there somewhere, she asks Talia to tell her that he misses her. Talia has fallen asleep and awakes to find that Ed is gone. Alarmed, she finds him at the mouth of the cave. He has calculated the daytime of this planet, and it is 23 Earth days long. And if they want to survive, he has to go to the top of the mountain himself. Talia is certain he will leave her to die, and he says that she has two choices, to trust him or to kill him. She chooses the former. He scales the mountain and reaches the top. He sets up the beacon and activates it. The distress signal is picked up by the Orville, and they set a course to rescue him. Act 6. As Ed heads back down the mountain, he sees Choctaw heading their way. He returns to Talia and ushers her to move out to avoid capture. He covers her with his jacket to protect her from the sunlight, and the Orville arrives, and Kelly commands Gordon and Bordas to take a shuttle down to the planet in order to find the captain. Talia and Ed head to the beacon. Bordas says that the terrain makes it so that there is no place to land, but Gordon says he can do it, boldly exclaiming, "I'm a pilot." When Talia realizes Ed called a Union shuttle, she holds the gun up to him again and tells him that she will not be taken prisoner. A shot is fired, and it's the Choctaw. He asks Talia for the gun, which she reluctantly hands over. Ed holds the Choctaw back, and Gordon does make it work. He picks up Talia and Ed, and they make their way off the planet. Ed returns to the Orville and gets ripped into by Kelly, who is telling him in no uncertain terms that he is making a mistake. Ed and Kelly visit Talia at the brig, and Ed tells her that he is letting her go. The bridge looks on as a krill ship arrives to take her back, finding it difficult to absorb the fact that they're not being attacked, and also having a hard time understanding why Ed is letting Talia go. Kelly uses this opportunity to explain yet again that command has no clear answers. Ed escorts Talia to the krill shuttle in a darkened shuttle bay. Ed leaves her with two things: a message to her people, telling them that they can either fight or they can talk, and a chip containing the best songs of Billy Joel. He even leaves the door open for a potential future movie night with him. As Talia boards, Billy Joel's "She's Always a Woman" plays her out. Ed looks on solemnly as the krill ship goes into quantum drive and flies away.
Man, really, really nice recap. Big episode, a lot of plot. Love it so much for all the reasons that we'll get to, and maybe a couple of plot holes we can chat about too.
Okay.
But this one was written by executive producer Brandon Braga, needing no introduction in the in the world as we talked about him at length, and science advisor Andre Bormanis teamed up to write this episode. Directed by John Cassar, who directed the episode Krill, which was kind of the first part of this two-part, two-season story arc, and music by Joel McNeely and Billy Joel. Joel McNeely doing the before and after. So Don't
I
Ask
see
Me
what you did
Why
there.
from Glass Houses, and Always a Woman from 1977's The Stranger. And I have been meaning to talk about this. Joe Manowski has joined the crew in season 2 as co-executive producer. Joe Manowski started with Next Gen, went on to Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and even spent about the first half of season 1 on Discovery, but he's always kind of had like that darker edge to him. On Voyager, he wrote Year of Hell Part 1 and 2, and Scorpion, Deep Space Nine, Dramatis Personae, where something was going on with the crew and they all kind of started to turn on each other. And Next Gen, he wrote Masks, which was that weird kind of Aztec episode where Data was like, Musaka.
I don't know if I know that.
Or something like that. Yeah, it was weird. And Emergence, and got the story credit for Darmok.
Really?
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Not a written by, but did get a story by. So he's joining the crew, as well as John Cassar joining the crew as well, and becoming, just a more serious tone to episode 2, and we'll see if that continues with season 2.
Gotcha.
Season 2, episode 4. A more serious tone, kind of getting people with more of a maybe kind of a darker edge to their storytelling and their production chops. And we have friend of the show, Fred Tatasciore, as returning as the Krill voice. He plays Lieutenant Shax, the Bajoran security officer, on Star Trek Lower Decks.
Do they ADR over the actor and then use or what's the Krill voice that you're talking about?
I think when you hear something like over the loudspeaker,
okay.
that's Fred. So I was wondering if that was, him dubbed, maybe speaking to Gordon.
That's kind of what I was wondering,
but I'm not sure. I just know he's credited as the Krill voice, so maybe
I love
we can
that.
find out more of those. And we have Patrick Warburton back as Thrall. Righteous.
They're so judgmental.
Mellow alert.
It's so friggin' funny.
It really was.
I feel like I need to name a band Mellow Alert.
Yeah, I that could be our Billy Joel cover band.
Mellow Alert. I love that. I mean, it was right of Ed to, like, if they knew he wasn't going to be like a permanent security officer, just let him be on the bridge and be weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's, like I said, I think he's competent. I just think he's very laid back, and I work with people that are like that too. That they're good at their job. The only knock against them is that they don't get uptight enough, and that's more of like a reflection on the judger than the judgee.
That's fair. I will say I probably was closer to a thrall in the workplace than anyone else. So
totally.
To be fair, too.
I am too. One of my favorite people to work with, I'll look at him and go, does anybody give you a hard time about being too laid back? And he goes, every day. And I goes, all your stuff done? He goes, yep. I go, is it done right? And he goes, yep. And I go, and still people give you a hard time? He goes, like, every day. And
That's because it doesn't fit the narrative that people are used to, or they are upset that they're following rules. And like, I just don't think that. I mean, obviously, he's there for humor, and he's meant to be a really annoying character.
Yeah,
but he's just a dude who needs love too. He's just a dude,
yeah, and he's a guy. He's not, he's not straight out of Union Point. It looks like he's been around and served on a few ships. He's probably got a fair amount of confidence in his ability to do his job and just kind of be himself.
He did a turn on the USS Seinfeld.
He did. He did a turn on the USS The Emperor's New Groove.
Right. He's been around.
He has been. So I love so much about Ed Mercer's being in love in this episode.
Do you? Okay, great. Let's
I do. I like the sneakiness on the bridge. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden he's just, hey man, things are good. I'm happy. Laid back. Who, me? Relaxed? I don't know what you're talking about. And then Lieutenant Tyler walks in, and they're both kind of, just sort of beaming at each other, and I like that. I think it's too cute.
It is really cute. Obviously, Michaela McManus who plays both Lieutenant Janelle Tyler and Talea.
Wait, what?
We're going to talk about that. is a human. She knows how to act as a human. I try to superimpose backward on the episode. Okay, that's a krill pretending to be human and soft and gentle and like in love. And it's even more interesting. I don't know. It's just, there's many layers to their
There really is.
interaction.
Like, I was wondering, like, when I was like, man, Michaela McManus just nailed it in this one. Then I was like, you know who else nailed it? Talea. Because she's the the one doing the acting as a human.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point. So, yes, we talked about this before, and I was trying to remain as vague as possible. Lieutenant Janelle Tyler shows up for the first time in season 2, episode 1, as the dark matter cartographer.
And remember, we were wondering why she was uncredited.
Well, I mean, I knew why, but she was uncredited because in the event that people put it together that she was the same actress who played Talea, the reveal that she was Talea in this episode would not have been as impactful, which is so smart.
It was done really well. I liked it all around. I liked their relationship, and it was, a little bit scary to think that she may have developed feelings for him,
sure,
or was just 100% manipulating him. But Ed was just so happy. He was so happy watching The King and I. He was so happy with her around. And even the conversation with Kelly, where he was just like, yeah, things are good. I like this. She's like, I know you have 15 different smiles. 11 of them are passive aggressive.
Which I don't even know what a passive aggressive smile looks like. I guess it's like you could your eyes wide.
So and I'm just thinking of this now, like understandably, or from what I understand, I've heard people say that in languages that evolved in Arctic climates, they have many different words for snow.
Right, and there's actually many different words for love in those same cultures, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
As well,
with Ed, I think because his and Kelly's relationship may have been so strained, he developed many different smiles for passive aggressiveness.
Do not even go there. Do not go there. You cannot blame a woman.
I was not blaming her whatsoever.
I'm just kidding. I'm being hyperbolic.
Their relationship was maybe strained, and the only way Ed did not know how to deal with that in a healthy manner, so he
he's also a sarcastic dude, Yeah. But I loved that, when he's like, I am really happy, and he actually gives us smile number 4. We really haven't seen Seth MacFarlane / Ed smile that way, and it really was delightful. He is the more and more I'm watching the Orville, and then I think I mentioned previously that I've been watching a lot of Family Guy in between. He's a genius, and he's just so good at what he does, and he knows how to project human emotion very well.
I think he does too, and we had mentioned, or I think more accurately, you had mentioned that he's kind of a doesn't go over the top with facial expressions. He's kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I remember you said something along the lines that he's got maybe a little bit of
He's not the most emotive actor physically, but that doesn't mean he can't do it.
Right. But I think the subtlety of, just seeing his eyes smile a little bit, or, just kind of a happy, little head nod going on means so much more then.
Yeah, he definitely has an extreme TV and film competency. He knows what he needs to do and get done. I actually have a friend that I had the pleasure of seeing yesterday who played a Kalon in the Orville, and they had a couple of roles that weren't cast, but he was able to be at the table read, and then they were all clumped up after the table read, and he relays that Seth is involved in he was looking over some Kalon uniforms, and he's involved down to the minutia. He's like, well, actually, we need it to look like this because if we need to denote rank this way, and I think it's an awesome thing. Like he has such a vision that he knows exactly what he wants and he knows how to dictate that in that way. So it's cool to know that he is so hands on, and you can tell it really does overall contribute to the quality of the show that we're only watching getting better as the season goes along.
Yeah, and then I think it goes a long way to contribute to not only individual contributions to the trekkiness of the show, but who he has invited to be involved in the show, and it just the ranks just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I checked a couple of things like I always do because I think it's fun.
That's a thing you do.
Sensoria 2. So I had a choice. Sensoria could be the name of an actual star, and then Sensoria 2 would be a planet, the second planet in that system. It is not. It is an anatomical term. The area of the brain considered responsible for receiving and integrating sensations from the outside world. So sensoria is the plural of the word sensorium. So kind of the maybe the pleasure planet, like Ripley's Pleasure Planet and the old TOS, or maybe kind of a RISA, if you will. Yeah, Sensoria 2.
Interesting.
So I thought that
you're unlocking secrets.
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about Thorl and not being judgy and stuff like that. But
Thorl.
Sandals in the mess hall.
Oh, God. That's just something that Seth MacFarlane hates when he goes to the mall, and someone is wearing sandals and eats it. Or they go to a restaurant and someone's wearing sandals.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very,
Somebody
very
just
funny.
kind of crosses their leg and starts picking at their toe.
Oh, please, why? We know. You just don't have to tell us. Why are you doing this to us?
Yeah, but you know who? Yeah,
I worked at a restaurant, so to be fair, I saw it all.
Yeah, I did too. We both have quite a bit of experience in the food service industry that has I think molded our perception,
sensibilities, our sensoria.
So a little bit, not really, big decisions or big ideas or anything, but. What'd you think of Michaela McManus and her ability to sort of go back and forth from, junior, lieutenant, dark matter cartographer, new on the ship, striking up a relationship with the captain, and going from there to putting on the krill makeup, and just becoming a completely different character. What'd you think of that sort of, level of craftsmanship as an actor?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for asking, because it's worth noting that Talea was just supposed to be a one-off character, but she impressed Ed and them so much with her acting skills that they decided to bring her back and write her into the story, which is pretty much how it goes in the acting business. It's like, when people like working with you, they will think of you. Excuse me. When people like working with you, they will think of you. A good example is Jenna Fisher, who plays Pam in The Office. She's like the success story that a lot of us who haven't hit it yet think about, because she went to the same casting office over and over. They called her in for roles all the time, and she wasn't booking. And they're like, just believe us. There's going to be something for you. There's going for years. And it's really disheartening at a certain point, right? Eventually, the office comes across their desk, and they're like, we got it. We got the role for her. And because they loved her, she stayed in it, and she was just genuinely herself, she ends up getting the role. So, she was there at the right time, right place. So, yeah. So when it is such an amazing reveal when you realize that this actress, Lieutenant Janelle Tyler, is Talea. What a distinctly different character. I was trying to think about how she might have auditioned for Talea, because that also had to be difficult too, because the krill at that point probably didn't have probably weren't as well defined as they are now. So she probably was part of building what the Krill were like, even.
She certainly may have been. I don't know where they were in the stage of script development for her to read as part of her audition. But man, it was a frighteningly good transition from one character to another. Do you know if they made that decision before they wrapped the episode Krill? Because that definitely seemed like an open-ended ending to me. Did that?
I think she made it an open-ended decision. I think they would not have known if Jaloja. So the first time we see her is Jaloja, right?
No, Krill.
I'm sorry, in season 2.
Yes.
First time we see her, season 2 is Jaloja as Janelle Tyler.
Yes.
So you had mentioned that episode was supposed to originally be in the first season. Is that right? Or no? Was it the Bortus one? The Bortus porn addiction one.
I believe that to be the case.
So yeah, I'm getting my wires crossed. My guess is when they were looking into season 2 and potential arcs, that's when they decide to bring Michaela McManus back. But I think they knew already how much they liked her. You know, she leaves this impression, and they go, "Oh God, remember how great that was?" Like, to the point where the same director comes back to work with her.
Right.
So that says something.
And John Cassar actually said that it was the ending to the episode Krill that was scripted, that was given to him to potentially direct, that he did ultimately direct, that hooked him on the show. That darker tone, that very ominous ending, and the way that Michaela was able to deliver it was just bone chilling.
She made it so that her character, we would want her character to come back. So there's a lot to talk about, but she just nails it.
Another open-ended ending. Open 100%. Ending. I guess I could just refer to that as
open ending.
Open ending. Openness. So that was really good. Transcellular micrografting sounds painful.
Sure does.
Sounds a little bit like what Voke Tyler went through in Discovery Season 1. Also a Tyler. Ash Tyler. Yeah.
Ash Tyler.
Yeah. And, man, how about, Gordon, we have talked about his prowess as a pilot at length. And I actually pushed off his, shipmaster qualification to the next segment. But I tell you, whoever's piloting that Krill shuttle, just whipping it into the shuttle bay and flipping
is also a great pilot.
Yeah, flipping a bitch like that is also a great pilot.
That's really funny.
Yeah, and I think if he was just like, if they end up scratching that ECV 197-1, the Orville's shuttlecraft as available on Eagle Moss, then they probably wouldn't have cared. They probably like, look, I'll scratch a Union shuttle. I don't care.
Oh yeah, they definitely.
I'm just gonna come up on this and just like alpha krill this thing.
The 100% alpha krilled. I mean, their whole existence is alpha krill.
Yeah, it was just a total alpha krill maneuver.
You couldn't be more right, sir. That is really, really funny.
Well, what else you want to talk about?
Well, I think it probably is for the next section because I just love the love episode of this. I love how Seth brings in things he genuinely cares about, like Billy Joel, like The King and I. I think his storytelling is enriched by that. So that's what else. That's for this section. I love that he does that, and it's really impactful.
The relatableness that I experienced in the show with watching somebody newly in love, that new infatuation, that I'd liked to see that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's good storytelling, and we get rewarded as viewers to watch someone that we've been rooting for kind of get a little taste of something that he might deserve. So in the best sense of the word, he's going to get what he deserves. That's But yeah, so I think...
Or as you put it, sleep on it and sleep on her.
Well, tell me I'm wrong. So we have come to the part of this show where we explore the bigger ideas of the episode and we discuss the messages, morals, and meanings to see if this episode aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. I see you have a lot of notes here, Mike.
I've got a few.
I mean that in a good way.
Just a couple of points, though. I did want to talk to. It was a B plot. It was, I think, in some ways played for comedy.
Okay.
But Gordon and his desire to officially apply, I think he put it, for the shipmaster qualification program. And he was told it's intense training, it's studying, it's simulators, it's engineering. I grew up on Long Island, which is part of why I love this episode so much, because Billy Joel is a very famous, possibly the most famous Long Islander, at least from a pop culture standpoint. So that was really neat. But I do have a weirdly high number of friends that I went to high school with that are shipmasters that do things like captain boats, went to the Merchant Marine Academy, which I think, honestly, is in Kings Point, New York, which is kind of sort of the westernmost edge of northwestern, say, Long Island. And that's where the Merchant Marine Academy is. So I think this all kind of ties together in one way or another. That I just think is, at least in my mind, really, really cool. So he goes to apply for this. And I know from friends that are in that, that industry of captaining vessels, seagoing vessels, that it is a lot of work, and it is.
I mean, I can't even imagine the competency you have to have just alone, right? Like, there's so many different things you have to know.
Yeah, and the Coast Guard has courses, and there's universities where you can go to school for this, and obviously the biggest one is probably the Merchant Marine Academy, unless you wanted to get into the military and do something like the United States Naval Academy, or the Naval Academy of whatever country you happen to be listening to this in. So I kind of wonder, a couple things, like, do you think he knew what he was getting himself into? First of all, do you think he knew what he was getting himself into, or do you think he was kind of like, hey, my buddy's a captain, can't be that hard?
Oh, I think the decision is totally born of something other than knowing what it's about. I think it's an interesting B plot to put in this episode for sure. Because I was trying to decide whether I felt like it was incongruent to the storytelling or congruent. Mm-hmm. And again, you could plop anything into a B story and make it work and connect the dots.
I think it was congruent because it came back around to the very end. So I think he was. I kind of feel like he didn't know what he was getting himself into. Like, okay, let's get into the simulator and bang this out. Okay, I didn't get it right. Let's do it again. And Kelly was like, man, this is going to take months. Like, this is going to take a long time. This is a big deal. And that's kind of how I thought of it. And I loved the conversation in the mess hall when she was like, look, command if you're doing this to pick up chicks, okay, that's not what it's about. Command does not include thinking about yourself. It is very much, about serving the people under your command. And I think that was the thing that she was trying to do. And I was kind of also wondering about not only the A plot and the B plot, but the unaired C plot, where if Gordon is wanting to command a ship to pick up chicks, is that like the unaired C plot of Seth wanting to create a TV show so that he can pick up chicks?
Oh no. I don't want to.
Too soon after home.
A little. I don't want to pontificate on that, but I will if you make me. But
everything we do is to pick up chicks.
Listen, everyone does everything to pick up chicks. I get that. I pick up chicks. I didn't even mean to. This is supposed to be funny, but I really think he is sad that this girl that he was interested in is I think he was sad that he didn't have the follow through to date her, and it manifested as, well, maybe if I had more maybe if I had more self-esteem, maybe if I was doing something more with my life, or I, so, he just was explaining it. Actually, this sets up an episode of his in the future that we'll cover eventually, pretty nicely. But I think he's just bummed.
I think it is. I think everybody needs personal growth, and if you're not where you want to be, if you're not fully realized, then you're going to try to get there. And I think that's perfectly natural. And he was crushing hard on Janelle. And not only did he not have the follow through to put on that zippered jacket and walk up to her and ask her to the Jaloja party, but she ended up with the captain, which would maybe be motivation for you. So I think totally understandable. I loved the scene in the environmental simulator where he was going through their version of the Kobayashi Maru.
Right.
And he tried to pull Kirk's Corbomite maneuver, which, if you're not familiar, Baylock, the puppet voiced by Ted Cassidy, threatens the Enterprise and says he's giving them a countdown to prepare for whatever religious rites they may have before their death and destruction. And Kirk decides that, after being told by Spock that it's checkmate, Kirk says, not Spock, not chess, Spock, poker. And he hails the vessel and goes, this is the captain of the Enterprise. Our respect for other life forms requires that we give you this warning. One critical item of information that has never been incorporated into the memory banks of any Earth ship. Since the early years of space exploration, Earth vessels have had incorporated into them a substance known as Corbomite. It is a material and a device which prevents attack on us. If any destructive energy touches our vessel, a reverse reaction of equal strength is created, destroying. You now have 2 minutes. Destroying the attacker.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what Gordon was trying to pull off. And Kirk ends it with, death has little meaning to us. If it has none to you, then attack us now. We grow annoyed by your foolishness.
Annoyed.
So Gordon couldn't quite pull it off. He was trying, and then he said, we have this badass deflector dish that we just installed. And then when he said we got heart, man, I was really thinking he was going to say we got faith of the heart. And then, but he didn't go that far.
Why would he have said that? What is faith of the heart?
Faith of the heart is the much maligned theme song from Star Trek Enterprise.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Maligned.
a much maligned theme song.
The contemptuous. Again, it does go back to the simulation that John Lamar brought him through, which was think on your feet. So he is going through like a growth process in the background.
Mm-hmm. And I loved it because at the very end, and we'll talk more about, Ed's decision to return to Leia to the Krill. But at the very end, Gordon was like, why is he doing this? Why would he stick his neck out with the Admiralty like that, especially when she tried to kill him? And Kelly said, that's command. If the Admiralty agrees with it, they'll be okay with it. But these are the kind of decisions you have to make. Are you still interested? And another neat storytelling element about this show is it leaves a lot up into interpretation. So she said, that's command. Are you still interested? Gordon did not answer her verbally. Where do you think he landed on that?
I think it's a no. I think she knows it's a no.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a no. Especially because he's like, I'm a pilot. He's finally understanding that doesn't... It defines him, but it also doesn't define him.
Yeah. So I went opposite on that.
Really?
Yes, I think his "I'm a pilot" was a sense of appreciation and confidence for what he's doing now. Okay,
sure,
and that's important to have. You should appreciate. I think. I mean, what the heck do I know? But I assume it's healthy for you to have an appreciation and a respect for what you're doing right now, where you are at this phase in your life. I also think it's probably a good thing to have a goal. So I think his "I'm a pilot" was kind of healthy appreciation for where he is now. But her, that's command. Are you still interested? He kind of looked around, and then he sat up a little bit taller and kind of looked out. He didn't kind of look down or shuffle his feet or look at his shoes or anything like that.
That's true.
It seemed like it seemed to me that he realized that that's the goal. And that's kind of where I landed on it.
Sure. I think you can I think they left it open-ended for a reason. I think he misdirected what he wanted, and he thought command would give it to him. Mm-hmm. And I think what he really wants is a different kind of fulfillment. So that's what I think.
Well, we'll see, because I do like Gordon's character, and obviously we all love Scott Grimes.
I mean,
so
how could
maybe
you
I
not?
shouldn't I shouldn't speak for everybody, but
Well,
I think most people listening to this podcast probably enjoy.
Is there a reason to not like Scott Grimes?
I don't, unless he did something when he was on ER or Party of Five that really got under somebody's skin.
I think he's wonderful. How could you not love?
And also, this is the episode in real time where he and Adrian Palicki announced their engagement.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to give you any spoilers on how that ends or anything like that, or even if it ends. But Scott Grimes and Adrian Palicki announced their IRL engagement.
Did it end
during the filming of the show? I don't know. I'm going through this in real time, man. I'm pretending this is 2019 and I'm watching them week to week.
They're dating?
They were engaged, or maybe still are, or maybe married now. I don't know.
Just tell me what you know.
I know they got engaged during the production of this episode.
My brain is putty right now.
Yeah, that's all right. David Putty.
Anyway, I am beyond. Okay, so I think it's open-ended, and I think that does leave the door open for some more good storytelling with Gordon. And
I think it does. Yeah,
I think I agree.
And that's what I like about the show. It did, he didn't say like, well, not after this, or absolutely. Like to me, it was just sort of like how you read the body language, and that body language could have been interpreted as, you know what, I'm a helmsman of the Orville, and that's a great place to be. And he just kind of maybe sat up and was a little bit more proud of his station in life.
All right.
Or he could have been
sit up now.
Or he might have been sitting up and might have been, a little bit like, wow, that gives me something to aspire to. Like, because what Ed did, and we might as well just talk about that if it's okay with you. His decision to return to Leia to the Krill, over the, not necessarily objections, but over the warnings from Kelly on, what kind of ramifications that would have. His decision to return to Leia was a big deal. I mean, that was huge, and that's and that to me was very inspirational, because just like in the cave, and just like this show often does, it doesn't come down to a space battle. It doesn't come down to a firefight, or dare I say a firestorm. It comes down to a conversation, and sometimes it's in a shuttle, and sometimes it's in the office, and sometimes it's in a cave. But the conversation that really struck me in this episode was we're going to have to start talking at one point anyway. And, or else, just like in the movie, there'll be nothing left on Earth excepting fishes. Everything will be destroyed.
Right.
At least everything, on the surface will be destroyed. And his decision to return her was that olive branch, was that offering of peace and understanding that I hope will, provide a return on investment down the road.
I even take it one step further, and I think this also impacts Scott Grimes' story arc in this episode. I think Ed loves her.
Yeah.
I think, and again, that's like, ladies being romantic and whatever.
So
but I think he loves her.
So you do. So you're thinking he's being kind, he's being compassionate.
I think there's many elements that
and
play into
they
this.
bonded. Like, there were a lot of things that they bonded over, and they laughed and they canoodled.
They
canoodled. They were canoodling. So I kind of wonder if it's that. Sometimes I got to say, this crossed my mind, and I don't want to say where I landed on it. But Ed's insistence on maintaining or still trying to even pursue a relationship with Talea, was that more pathetic, as pathetic, or less pathetic than Gordon dating his stalker and then being broken up and then having her break up with him?
I will, as a pathetic lover myself, I will err on the side of it's brave to try and fall in love, and if you can let yourself do that, and you do find love, I can't blame anybody for feeling the way that their heart feels, right? So both of them are we're all just trying to do the best we can and try to relate to people the best we can, and sometimes our heart likes the wrong person, or it's just like so confusing. So
yeah, the heart has reasons. Reason knows, not why. But I'll tell you where I landed now that I threw the question out there. I landed on him not being pathetic. I don't think so. I landed on him being really, really cool and brave, and vulnerable about it. And I think that's awesome.
I think it's sweet that he's like, I will watch movies again with you too. Like when Ed says that. I think, like I said, I just think that leaves an impact for Gordon's character, who in a couple episodes we'll see. I'll explain what I mean. That it's maybe command is open ended for him, but also love was an aspect for why Ed made this decision. Nothing. It's not such a cut and dry situation, and it's just I don't know. I just really like it. I think it's good story. This episode's good storytelling.
Yeah, it is. I do think the like I said, I kind of feel like his Ed's actions at the end inspired Gordon and maybe gave him a look at what command is that he didn't understand before. He probably thought it was just being in charge of people and not necessarily making tough decisions like that. Can we talk a little bit, and can we circle back a little bit about the conversation in the cave?
I don't know. Can we?
It's up to you. It's your show. I know who the star of the show is.
Well, no, I don't know who it is either. I think it's McKinley McManus. You? Did you?
No, I know you're the star of our show.
Oh, well, not really. Did you? You also said there was plot holes too.
Well, maybe not necessarily plot holes, but Talea seemed really pissed off at Ed.
Okay.
And she does the big reveal while Ed's in the brig, and then there's the attack that saved them.
Saved him from...
Saved him. And he was like, where's your nearest shuttle? And Talea, up until that point, probably would have been like, I'm not telling you.
Totally.
You killed my brother. You killed all these people. Avis wouldn't let me help you find a shuttle. But she's like, let me show you. I thought that was maybe an unrealistically fast change of position.
Because she also abandons her ship, right?
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
He did have a gun on her, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
But don't you think the Krill would be like, if they died in the service of Avis, they would go to a better place?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
All of that nonsense.
That moment pinged for me too, and I just wiped it away by saying to myself, survival will make us do the want of survival will make us do something.
Or we could watch the machinations of this decision being made for the next 30 minutes, or they could just do it like that because they only have 45 minutes to tell the story.
And let's add the thing we've already talked about. He loved her, right? Or she loved him too, and so she's trying to save him too.
I think there was something there. I do. I think what she felt wasn't nothing.
Accepting fishes.
Yeah. So there was that, and then sort of a couple of other very tense moments. It seemed like each tense moment in the show was interrupted by somebody firing upon them. And giving them a convenient segue to the next thing. Yes,
totally. But then now that makes me think that that's also symbolism. They want to fire each other. There's a lot of firing for sure.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I like the symbolism.
Why not?
Part of it. So in the cave,
yes.
Ed said something along the lines of, sooner or later the Krill and the Federation are going to have to learn to deal with each other. And then he reminded Talea of the King and I. But he said that races, when they reach spacefaring status and they realize that they're only one in a diverse galaxy or universe, really, of different beings, react in either one of two ways. They either embrace and adapt to it, or they ratchet up their xenophobia. He said, if I know my history, the Krill were a lot less fanatical before they left their home world. And she pushed back a little bit, and he said, I know fear when I see it, and your superiority may just be a comforting myth. You're afraid that your superiority may just be a comforting myth. So the Krill kind of treated like a monoculture, right? Humans, not so much. Even folks within certain countries, not so much either. Sometimes evenly split, I've heard. How do you think humans would react overall to news that we are only one in a diverse galactic ecosystem?
Well, I really did try to wrap my head around what would be the motivation to be afraid of not being superior. But it's also just something in me that doesn't understand that about human nature in general as well. But it's probably fair to say that if we learned that we were not the center of the universe, we would react similarly to learning that the sun didn't revolve around us. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Good historical example. Great point.
So it's hard for me to pontificate or to, well, that's not the right word, to elaborate on that, because I don't, it's hard to say. There's so many, we are so divided, and so many different people have so many different beliefs.
I think there are those that would react in either way.
Yeah.
I think some would embrace and adapt, and I think others would ratchet up their xenophobia and feel like, that it does challenge and it does nullify much of the beliefs that they hold most dear. And I think we see that not only as a human race, but I think we've seen things like that when it relates to nationalism.
Yes,
and
sure.
When they're approached with the idea that other cultures are doing things differently with maybe different results and maybe encroaching on what was thought by certain people to be the domain of them and only them.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah, so I think there is. I think there were probably some nationalism, maybe some xenophobia elements in that speech that I think we could probably allegories that I think we could all just sort of investigate for ourselves.
Seth does a really good job, and we talked about this before, reflecting back to us as a society, using his primetime slot, at least with Fox being on Fox, to shed light on things that are important to him.
Yeah.
And, whether it's liberal leaning or what have you. But yes, we do deal with it today in our culture, the issue of people thinking they have a divine right by the God that they believe in, or that their religion is the right one out of thousands of religions. And that is that kind of thinking is one of the things that contributes to a difficult to live together society.
Yeah.
So
the line, the Krill were a lot less fanatical before they left their home world, that struck a particular chord with me, because I feel like might just be, childish, memories, but I don't feel like our culture was nearly as fanatical religiously as it is now, prior to, say, 9/11, prior to, other events which sort of maybe put us at odds with other parts of the world.
It's kind of a chaos theory, it's someone explained it much better than I'm going to right now, but so many random things have happened to lead us to the world that we're living in today. And it's not like there's some grand design, essentially, is my point. But I think fringe theories and extremism has always existed, but when you add into a society the ability to talk to all sorts of people on broad band levels.
Yeah.
You now are giving these fringe theories and let's not even forget the televangelism. That was is very smart. You can control a community with religion. And so why wouldn't you go straight to TV? So, I guess the people that know how to manipulate humans well are getting more traction because they have better platforms. They're not just on a soapbox in a corner. So I think what we're seeing today, this is my opinion, is access to people who are on the fringe of conspiracy theorists, etc., have access to what they think is real news, and people are saying the real thing, and so that's why I think remember the phenomenon where I didn't realize so many kids were being abducted. Why are all of a sudden kids being abducted? It's kids had always been abducted. We just they weren't being covered in the news.
Yep.
So it's the awareness of how we are certainly in the puberty of being humans, and we are just coming to an awareness of what our penchant is when we don't feel like we have control over things. So
yes,
and I think social media plays a huge factor of that. I think television plays a huge factor of that. And I contribute. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying not to contribute to the cacophony of arguments, but I use social media. So I'm not saying it's the worst, but we have been polarized.
Yeah, and it can be used like any other tool for a variety of reasons.
Absolutely.
Some good and some bad. But you said a couple of things.
Me?
Just now, that really kind of push us into the messages, morals, meanings part of the conversation. One of which was simply what you said, talking to people. And this last summer, as of this recording, we celebrated the 100th. What would have been the 100th birthday of Gene Roddenberry.
Correct.
We had quoting Gene Roddenberry, 100 quotes of Gene Roddenberry, celebrating what would have been his 100th birthday. And with that, there was one that said, Gene saying, I want to live in a world where you can walk up to somebody and say, you disagree with me? That's great. Let's sit down and talk about it. And I think that was Ed's message in the cave.
What Seth MacFarlane wants us to walk away with is learning how to trust each other.
Yeah.
As well.
Yep. So so learning how to trust each other, but there was that desire, that overarching need to speak with other people, to gain that understanding, to appreciate that diversity, so that you can survive and thrive and not be at odds with one another. And just offering that olive branch, of giving her a chance to go back to the Krill with the message that anytime you want to talk, we can talk, or we can keep fighting each other. And her response was very well. She was going to deliver that message, and I thought that was really cool.
It is very hard to listen to people that you don't agree with, especially when you think you're right. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you guys know me to be very outspoken in this podcast, and I'm very grateful for being supported and trusted, for lack of a better word, to share my thoughts. But I also think I do my best to acknowledge that there's different ways of thinking about things. But that's a long way to say that what I try to put into practice daily is accepting that people are coming from different places, and how can I learn from that, as opposed to trying to change their mind. How can I listen to them? Because at most everyone is coming from a place that makes sense to them.
Right.
Most people are good people. So if we can at least start there, we can find common ground for sure.
Yeah. And then the very last point I wanted to bring up was we had talked a little bit about, the role of being in charge, being the captain and commander, so to speak. And, does that mean you follow the rules? Does it mean you would rather ask for forgiveness than permission? Is there a healthy compromise between the two, which probably seems to make sense? But in this role, I think there's probably some sort of policy in the Planetary Union Handbook that says if you have an enemy combatant in your brig, you should probably not just hand them back over to the enemy with a message and a thumb drive with Billy Joel's greatest hits, which as of this point we're up to volumes 1, 2, and 3. Maybe it includes Billy Joel's greatest hits volume 4 as well. Should
be very lucky if that's the case.
Don't know. But that's probably not in the handbook. So, there have been people always like to talk about Kirk being a rule breaker, right? And I think that's kind of blown out of proportion from the Kobayashi Maru and stealing the Enterprise, which was all movie Kirk. Right. That was all.
Right.
That was all. Harv Bennett Kirk, Roddenberry Kirk very much was a rule following kind of guy with a few exceptions. And one of those that I think was most notable was, telling Starfleet to, go pound sand. I'm taking my first officer to Vulcan because he's got some pon farr going on. My boy needs to tear off a piece, and I'm gonna help that. I'm going to help that happen.
Off a piece.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's hilarious. But it's also like, oh my God.
So, yeah, that's the episode. Vivid. That was the episode Amok Time. And, didn't end up working out for him. But that was one of those examples. And, of course, the more famous example is stealing the Enterprise to, again, help out his brother, Spock. And in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. But it's also Picard, grabbing Wesley off of that planet of, near naked joggers in the episode Justice, where he ran into the garden and they were going to kill him for that. They were going to kill him for that.
They were going to kill him.
They were going to kill him. So a little prime directive violation by Picard also. So they all do it. But I think, the point, a point in this episode too, maybe a minor point was that, when you are in charge, when you are in command, when you are kind of in this situation in the moment, that you are expected to make decisions that maybe go above and beyond what's written in the rule book.
We have talked about this. My personal brand of leadership is one that's informed by experience, for sure, but knows how to make a decision and then accept responsibility, not just go, oh, screw it, the rules. That's not how any leader should be. Like, oh, I don't care about the rules, I'm just going to go. They make a decision and they accept the responsibility for the consequences of their actions.
Exactly right. Not the Eric Cartman School of Leadership, which is
I must respect my authority.
I do what I want.
Well, and that's the thing is like, yes, Cartman, you're so close. Add in some personal responsibility.
Yeah. So best managers I've ever had have said, I don't care what you do, just have a reason.
I love that.
Have a reason.
I love that. Mike, I love exploring these thoughts with you.
It's good. And this show is really, I really feel like the show's hitting its stride right now. Totally. The storytelling is good. There was certainly, if there was anybody, I think, feeling like there was Family Guy in space going on, or some sort of like Star Trek parody being played out on this show, I think it's really, really gotten its own sense of self. And while there were a couple
of characters, I think.
Yeah. a couple of little jokes here and there, but certainly I wouldn't not classify it as a comedy in any way, shape, or form.
Nope. You're totally right. We're getting into the good part of the Orville right now, so it's exciting.
Exactly right. You ready to bring us home?
Let's do it. Mission Log the Orville is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcasts.roddenberry.com.
Join us next time on Mission Log the Orville as we discuss the episode All the World is Birthday Cake.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.